Welcome, everybody, to another episode here on the Digital Trade Show podcast, live from Orlando, Florida at the Profitable Dentist Practice Owners Conference. And I have a familiar face with me as we kind of close out the day here. Dr. Bill Williams, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks, John, for having me back.
Always.
We're moving across Florida. It looks like started out in Fort Lauderdale. Now we're over in Orlando, and I guess I'll see you the next time in Tampa.
I think I'm going to come to Georgia. We might have to do this like in your hometown or
Let's
something.
do it in Atlanta.
Okay, Atlanta's a good one. So today we're going to talk about 5MMastermind, which is Dr. Williams' group. So many great things that you're doing, and certainly want to have you share your story. But I'm really excited to learn more about 5M and have you share the doctors that you're working with and the success stories and things that they're accomplishing, and working together with them. So, but if we could, in traditional format, share just a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are.
Okay, I'll give you the thumbnail picture of my life leading up to the 5M.
Perfect. I love
Started out in dentistry in 1975, so it's 43 years that I've been at the chair, working, making people healthier, making them happier, and along the way, I got the bug to teach. And so since 1981, I have been in various places teaching orthodontics, TMJ, reconstruction, management, marketing, communication. Mm-hmm. And in the last 10 years, it's been more practice management, marketing, communication, leadership. So in my career, I had two practices, basically Stone Mountain for 23 years, sold that, moved to Swanee, and started over at age 48, which the story is documented, of course, in the book, Marketing the $1 Million Practice, which a lot of people have heard about.
Yep.
So that book kind of launched me into the space of teaching more in the management realm rather than in the technical realm.
Right.
And over a period of about the last 7 years, I developed a concept called the 5M, which really stands for the $5 million practice. When I started off in Swanee, from zero at age 48, it took me 10 years and I got to $5.8 million in size of practice, one office, one location with 4 dentists. Mm-hmm. So we were successful, and I had a formula that I figured out, and I wanted to kind of put it down on paper and share that with people. Yep. That's how 5M actually came to get started, was an idea of sharing how to be successful in the practice.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that I've been wanting to ask you, I didn't ask last time we were on, which is, are you seeing that, you mentioned early on, if you go back a couple decades, dentistry, a lot of the education and the training was on the clinical side.
Yes.
But it really seems like there's a shift. There's a lot more doctors that really want to sink their teeth into practice management and a lot of the things that, you're working on and teaching on. Are you seeing it more and more, and why?
Most dentists were not focused on management principles. They had some people that did that, but it was few and far between as far as the number of educational opportunities. Mm-hmm. I think there are more now because we have a lot more interest in the social media, and the internet has brought that to the front. Yeah. The younger people, what we call the millennials, they grew up in that, and that was their message that they found easy to identify with. Old dentists, that have been in practice for 40 or more years, they didn't grow up in the marketing era, whereas the younger dentists did.
Sure.
So that's why you have more people teaching marketing now.
Yep. Can you remember, you obviously were way ahead in regards to this. There's no way you're able to do the things you've done, grow a $5 million practice if you had not embraced some of these things. Was there a time you can think back where it started to switch for you and you thought, maybe a lot of your colleagues you're kind of going along the same way, but now you're going to go a different direction just because of where you wanted to grow? Is something that happened, something that you worked with? Yeah,
there was a group that we had back in the 90s, and we formed a mastermind called the Solstice Research Group, and it was an 8 or 9 dentist study club that met twice a year for, I guess we stayed together for 10 years. And we honed a set of management principles by studying what we found was pretty unique. We were doing the new patient experience in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And we honed a technique to tour the people through the office and to sit them down in a room outside the operatory and and get rapport. So we designed the entire process that most everybody teaches now.
Right.
And that was about the early 90s. And it took about a decade to develop that. And I've been doing that ever since, 93, 94, the new patient experience.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about 5M and, the core of it, some of the pieces and parts that make it up.
I put together an online program and did some coaching with it, and it worked out pretty well. People grew phenomenal from the online program, and that was about 7-8 years ago when we first started. And I ran that for about 4 or 5 years without the in-office, in-home mastermind. And so I found that we got good results from the online program alone, but when we shifted and added the time where they come to my house, in my home, the dentists sit around the board table. Really, it's the dining room table,
right?
But it's a big old table, and everybody enjoys being in a home setting. It's very personal.
Yeah.
And so 9 dentists come in, and we have a little bit of lecture and a lot of hot seats. Hot seats being basically focusing on that person's practice, talking about what's going on, the conditions, the problems, the opportunities. And the best part about it is a prescription. Every time we finish up each hot seat, we've come up with a list of things to do. And that to-do list is an effective way to grow to the next level. People have a SMART goal list of things they're going to do. And because it's in front of your peers, you pretty much want to stick to it. You actually find people following through.
Right.
Which is unique. Follow through is the weakest place that we have in our system of setting goals.
Yeah. I was sitting here thinking that when you go through that process and talk about that, I mean, first off, who would not want to run and operate a $5 million practice? I mean, I think that would, I'm certainly there's a small percentage out there, but I think most people would want to do that. What are some of the tough conversations that you have to have with some of these doctors when they share with you their aspirations, but then you look at their reality and you have to say to them, if this doesn't change or this doesn't change, regardless of how optimistic you are, it's going to be very challenging to get there.
It's actually true that there are some barriers and obstacles to having any goal you want. And so we do run up against sometimes a goal that can't be met in that particular circumstance, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Most people have reasonable goals, and we find a way to get there. If they're in an urban area where there's about 1,000 dentists per 100,000 population,
right,
you may say that's harder than in a rural area where there's 20,000 patients for one dentist.
Right.
So we're looking at a better situation where you actually geographically are located.
Yeah.
But we still find that people are extremely successful because you can outdo every competition that you have in your local area, even if there are a lot of dentists, if you know the right tools.
Right.
And so we'll find that most of the issues that come up early are ones with staff. And so we'll get those handled in the first sessions usually. Either they've got to add staff or decrease staff. They may have to rehire somebody that's not the right fit.
Yeah.
They may have to rework their delegation. Sometimes they've got to up their marketing. Some people have no marketing plan. Yeah. So we have to work hard on figuring out why they're not getting enough new patients. We put in systems, and I think the biggest thing that we do that's most important is we do a rewiring of their thinking.
Yeah.
It's really the mindset of the dentist and the team, and a lot of times the mindset of the dentist and the team are different. We bring them together. Right. If the dentist will learn to be a cheerleader rather than a boss, right, then he's going to get more out of his team.
Right.
And so we work a bit on team dynamics. Whatever it is that's happening in the minds of the dentist, it's clicking. They're going away from our meeting pumped up, hyped up, and they're coming back to the next meeting having tremendous results. Yeah. I mean, we're talking 120 days later, they're coming back consistently doing $10,000 a day, some of them every day of the month.
Right.
And I'm pretty proud of that because that's kind of what I say to them. I said, one of my goals for each one of you is to be a $10,000 a day dentist, if you want to be.
Yep.
And most of them go, oh, I like that, but I don't know if I could actually do it.
Right.
And before long, almost every one of them is doing it regularly, and some of them every single day of the month.
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal.
It really is, and because what I like about it is like you said, addressing the whole picture of the practice, everything, the team, the marketing, like you said, it really is all of those
It's
things.
holistic, you know. There's not one problem that sinks every ship.
Right.
You could have a lot of holes in your ship.
Exactly. How often does the group meet?
3 times a year.
Okay.
Typically, we've done January, May, and October.
Okay. And then in between those meetings, what are some of their responsibilities?
We're in contact with them constantly.
Okay.
In other words, I have a group call with everybody, and we're kind of getting updates once a month. We've just instituted another feature that's going to really take the results to a higher level, by far, I know.
Yeah.
And that's going to be individual coaching calls based on our in-depth analysis of the practice every month.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just aligned ourselves with dental intelligence, which means we're going to have all the latest data of the practice for the very moment that we look at the screen. Is up to date right now.
Right.
So we don't have to wait for them to download any reports and send them to me and go through all that. And the hidden information that the doctors don't know about, we're going to explain it to them.
Yeah.
And we'll have them take action. One of the keys that I find that most dentists don't do is take action at the right time for the right purpose. And so that's what coaching is all about, is figuring out how to help a doctor make the right decision that's going to find the hidden money that's locked into his, what we call the tooth bank.
Yeah.
Every patient that comes in has a treatment plan.
Yep.
And if they don't actually say they're going to get it done now, then it just gets deposited in the tooth bank.
Yeah.
And one day, you know, if we keep the patient in the practice long enough, the doctor will get to withdraw that money as a treatment service he does deliver.
Right.
And so we have a whole goal of not letting people be lost. Don't let them go out the back door and be gone to another practice because of indifference.
Yeah. It's really interesting because dentistry, Bill, has always been one of those industries where, I mean, I'm sure you talk about it all the time. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. And in a dental practice, unlike a lot of other businesses, just by the pure nature of it, that you've got people that are coming in that have needs, whatever the case may be, that you could go many years being busy, I would imagine, right? And not getting to where you want to be. But the real question is like you said, are you being productive? Are you being efficient? Are you identifying those areas where there is a lot of low-hanging fruit in dentistry, right? When you actually take the time to analyze it and figure out where you can
Most
find
dentists are proud of a busy schedule.
Yeah.
I'm only booked up 2 days or 3 days in advance.
Right.
And I do a lot more than most dentists per day.
Sure.
And so it's not about how busy your schedule looks, it's what's on the schedule and the order in which you create, your day.
Right.
So I have a concept of let's create the perfect day, and then let's try to repeat that over and over again. And so my staff knows what the perfect day looks like.
Right.
And it starts off with 3 patients at 8 o'clock.
Right.
And then I'll build from there,
Yeah.
But I always want to start perfect.
Yeah.
And that one little concept will always have a great start to a day.
Absolutely.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah. No, there's no question. I mean, I think a lot of times you feel like within the potential chaos of a practice that it always, if there's no way to get your hands around it and set the day the way that you want it to set, because patients have different needs, but I mean, you've proven out, and a lot of successful doctors have, that you can do that.
If I give a dentist a prescription of what to do, we all build the prescription together, by the way. The mastermind is not just me talking.
Right.
The mastermind is all of us giving suggestions. And I'll have some world-class doctors in the mastermind trying to make their world-class practice even better.
Sure.
Right now I've got a guy from Dallas, Texas that's one of the star dentists in America in the mastermind, and all these other dentists that are in the group are getting, like free advice.
Yes.
And that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
He's really sharp.
Yeah. That's awesome. What else do you want to share about the group? Just some things that you're proud about, or some other nuggets that doctors really should know about, to where they can learn more and grow.
one of the symbols of the 5M Mastermind is the Swiss Army knife. And so when a doctor graduates from our program, the first year we'll give them a Swiss Army knife as a memento. And that thing is useful. It's got many tools on it.
Right.
You can do a lot of things with it. And that's a symbol of us as general dentists, because that's mostly who takes my program, although any dentist could benefit from it. Mostly the ones I've had so far are general dentists. If you can do many things in dentistry, we call that a decathlon dentist. Mm-hmm. And not only do you have to be a specialist caliber dentist in every area of dentistry, technically, but you can be a master in marketing, a master in communication and leadership.
Right.
And all the things that go together to be a good leader, a boss, and an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it. Another thing is the learning styles. When we bring people into the mastermind, there's going to be hard work.
Yeah.
There's going to be things that are going to come to the dentist through different methods and means. So I try to identify where the information is going to be coming from. And a lot of people don't understand that we are inspired in supernatural ways. We're inspired in natural ways. We get things off the internet. I mean, this conference, the Profitable Dental Conference, is a prime example that we're moving away from just classrooms in large auditoriums. Now we're moving out into podcasts and webinars, live casting on Facebook.
Yep.
We're moving out into the world, and your information is coming from different places. And I have a name for that, and it's called the Silicon Sandbox. That means everything to do with computers, chips. The silicon of the chip
Yep.
is an analogy for everything on the internet, everything that's electronic.
Yep.
You just get it delivered to you from space. Mm-hmm. And we have to integrate all that stuff into our practice. We have to take our marketing out, just the way the profitable dentist has to market differently for the future to be successful.
Right.
Our practices have to market differently or they'll die. Mm-hmm. And we teach that. We teach social media structure, strategy, systems. We'll talk about all the best ways to have a funnel built to draw patients in, mm-hmm. so that we can then start working with them face to face.
Right, right. I have been impressed. I mean, we've known each other now for a couple months, but I have to say that that notion that if you've been practicing, dentistry for more than 20 or 30 years, that, you shy away from social media and all that stuff. You've really embraced it. And I think it's awesome. And I'm sure that goes right into like what you said with a lot of the doctors that you work with at 5M, that it's a part of where we are now. And if you don't embrace it, it's very dangerous.
Think about it this way. If you're a doctor in your last 30 of your practice years, some people call it the fourth quarter. I call it getting ready to finish well.
Yeah.
I want all the doctors to finish well. And so that might mean you want to retire on your own terms. You don't want to work till you're 75 because you have to.
Right.
You might love it and you want to slow down. So you kind of cash out at 60 and you work part-time till you feel like you don't want to work.
Right.
And if you can grow your practice to its peak value in the last 2 or 3 years of when you want to work full-time, then sell it. That's an ideal situation for a lot of doctors.
Yeah.
Or they want to sell it outright and just walk away. They can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Bring in an associate.
Yeah.
Anything you need to do, you need to prepare 10 years ahead.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the bottom line. So I've got a lot of doctors in their 50s to 65 in our mastermind who are just killing it.
Yeah.
I mean, they are so productive, and they've actually gotten happier being in the mastermind, and they're not ready to quit yet because they're having so much fun.
Yeah. I love it.
It's a nice place to be.
Of course it is. All right, so how can people learn about the 5M Mastermind and be able to reach out to you and get more information about it so they can...
Yeah, I'm always happy to discuss the mastermind. We have a website that really covers everything I do. I would probably focus on going there first.
Yeah.
It's solsticedentaladvisors.com.
Okay.
Advisors is ORS, so it's the British spelling. I've got a son that lives in London, England, a granddaughter, and a daughter-in-law, and so we go to visit people in Britain all the time, so their spelling almost looks natural to me now.
Right.
So for fun, I guess Solstice Dental Advisors had an English tilt to it.
Right. I like it. So solsticeDentalAdvisors.com is where they can find out a bunch of information.
Exactly.
Excellent. All right, I got some questions for you.
All right, I'm ready.
What did you want to be when you were a child, when you were going to grow up? Did you know what you wanted to do?
I had a real clear picture that I was either going to be an architect or a scientist of some sort, some kind of medical or biologic science.
Got it.
And I went to a class when I was in the 8th grade at the college, and I was in Auburn High School in the 8th grade, and I went to a class at Auburn University, and they had all kind of things going on about science and architecture and all, and I picked science, and I stayed with that, and all the way through high school I was going to be a physician or a dentist. I kind of narrowed it down to medicine.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in Dunkin' Donuts with my dad on one Saturday morning, and we kind of had that discussion in 1967 over a donut, and I don't think I was drinking coffee at that time, but probably a donut and milk.
Right.
And he said, let's talk about your career, where you're going to go. We did a Ben Franklin balance sheet, and it was like medicine, dentistry, long hours, normal hours, work on weekends, work a weekday.
Yeah.
We looked at the money the physician made back then versus a dentist, and we go, well, money's not the most important thing in the world, so we'll still stick with dentistry because everything else is better, the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked dentistry.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a very good choice.
Absolutely. Do you gift any books other than the ones that you have written? Is there a book recently that you've read or you've read several times that you like to give to, whether it be your children or
in the mastermind?
Mastermind, or just any.
We have a book list in the mastermind where we recommend people read books, and I could tell them a lot of things in 6 days, but I couldn't tell them what's in 20 books. But I could give them 20 book titles to read.
Yeah.
So, we'll have The Business Coach. We'll have The E-Myth Revisited.
Yep.
We'll have many of the dental books that have been published by a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
We'll recommend books.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I really focus on.
Yeah.
We get a lot of our wisdom straight out of Proverbs even.
Yeah.
So the Holy Bible is pretty much a book that has a lot of meaning for me.
Good foundation.
It is.
Last one, your favorite sandwich?
I like a BLT. I love the bacon.
Yeah.
You can put bacon on anything and I'll eat it. I like
I'm
crispy
with you.
lettuce.
Yeah. It's got to be good lettuce. Can't be wilted.
It's got to be a perfect red tomato.
Yep.
Salt and pepper has to be on it.
On the tomato, right?
Yep. And if you want to jazz it up a little, you put avocado, and that really does
Makes
the
it
trick.
good. Yeah.
Now, sometimes I'll jump ahead and do from a BLT to a BELT. Put a fried egg on it.
All right.
Then you've really got a sandwich to go for.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bill Williams and the BELT. I love it. It's a new sandwich. It's awesome. Thanks so much. This has been great. Such a pleasure spending time with you. I was so excited to see you there yesterday up on stage and like you said, really bringing in this new age of continuing education and to have you come on and talk about what you're doing. It's super exciting and super inspiring, so I really appreciate it.
It was good to be a host at the Profitable Dentist Practice Owners Conference. I mean, this thing has got the longest title, but it's so meaningful.
It is. We keep looking up at it, and Morgan, our media guy on Facebook, he's been typing it in and stuff. So
yeah, but it's for owners.
Yeah.
It's for people that know that they are in charge.
Exactly.
And if you're an associate, you're not in charge.
Right.
And so it's perfect. If you're an owner, you got to come here and make decisions.
Yeah.
But I think, truthfully, if you're an associate, you gain a lot by being here. So there's no slight against those guys.
No question.
But and it's live. So what's
course.
not better than live?
Nothing better.
We're live right now.
We are.
Yeah. I'm not afraid, but I should be.
Yeah, exactly.
What could slip out?
It could be. That's right. Well, again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and
Thanks,
excited to see all the great things you're going to continue to do.
Okay, we'll see you on the 5M.
Sounds great. All right. See you, Bill.